Mississippi Delta, still crying the same tears. From Emmett to Nolan, how many more years? Copper blood in these waters, Most High see us here. Peace be still, but the truth gonna appear. Emmett Till, young boy whistling in the store. White lies turned to lynch and dragged him from the door. Beaten, shot river, swallowed him whole. Open casket, mama showed the world his soul. Nolan Wells, 18, boat ride on the 4th. Only black in the circle, now they say he drowned for. Horn Island whispers, friends came back without him. Mississippi history, still hunting, still doubting. Same state, same pain, different name. Black boy lost in the Delta rain. When will it change? Lord, when will it change? Ancestors screaming, we never left this stage. 1955, Chicago boy down south for the summer breeze. Money, Mississippi, wrong place for a black team to breathe. Brian stole maybe a whistle, maybe just a smile. Jim Crow code broken, now they coming in the night. Wild Roy and Malone snatched him from his uncle's floor. Tortured that baby, fanti round, body in the Tallahatchie roar. Mutilated face, mama said let the world see. Acquitted by all white jury, not guilty, set him free. Sparked the movement, Montgomery rose from the flames. But the Delta dirt still holding black boys' names. Emmett was 14, just a child in his prime, lynched for existing in a twisted mind. Emmett Till, Nolan Wells, Delta shadows ringing bells. Black life cheap in these haunted lands. Most High coming with justice in his hands. 2026 July 4th, independence gone wrong. Broke the Horn Island with the crew, singing freedom songs. 18 years young, big heart, only copper in the mix. Friends white as the judge that let killers walking. 55 disappeared that day, body found on the shore 2 nights later. They say drowning, no foul play, but the family know better. Questions swimming deeper than the Gulf water's cold. Why leave your phone? Why the silence from the foe? Mississippi again, history echoing loud. Been crunk, calling for truth, independent, autopsy proud. Was it accident or the past rising from the mud? Black boy with white friends, trust issues in our blood.
Why the same soil claim my sons? Ancestor never left, we still the chosen one.
From Till's open casket to Nolan's unanswered call. In time signs, Leviathan rising, watch the fall. No hate, just black love, we hold each other tight. But stop crashing out on each other and demand what's right.
Peace be still,
Through the storm we prevail,
Father's child.
we shall not fail. Both in Mississippi, Delta's cruel embrace. One lynched open, one body lost without a trace. Emmett's killers brag after the verdict came. Nolan's story fogged in speculation and shame. 14 or 18, young kings taken too soon. Waters claim the bodies, but the spirit touched the moon. Same fear, same doubt, same racist undercurrent flow. But we wiser now, cameras, voices won't let go. Indigenous copper, mountain builder stand tall. We walk together, ancestors answer the call. No more silent nights, no more cover graves. Justice for Emmett, justice for Nolan. Raise the blade.
Emmett Till, Nolan Wells.
Hell no!
Emmett Till, Nolan
But our spirit never failed.
Emmett Till.
We got black love revolution now. Most High know my heart, make it right somehow.
Peace be still,
Peace be still. From Till to Wells, story still real. Let the world see. Let the truth be free. Let the world see. Let the world see. Let the truth be free.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time the Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, as y'all can see, I'm scrambling to get ready. Okay, so give me just a second. I'm doing stuff in the background. Now, with that all being said, I apologize for being late, but I was trying to finish my TikTok before I hopped on here. Okay. Um, with that all being said, let's see who all is in here. Okay, Lillian X, Deronda, the Prince of Paraphernalia. Okay, Carmela is here. Love Christie, Just Anticipate, We the People, Lurk Squad, Faith Lewis, the infamous Marty Marr, 57 Beige Fox, Leon. All right, Desmond, Buckhorse DC, Mel, Nessie X, Dangerous. Okay, Darm. Let's get into it. Donna. All right, Irma is here. Patrice, Bronze Flat Power Guy. Shout out to all of my loyal roads and everyone tuned into Queen. I see you, Chris B, Yimmy Y'all, and all of my loyal roads. And a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so before we get started, as per usual, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes. Here we go.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all being said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes hair oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find the products at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Okay, so let's get ready to get black into it. Y'all, I'm doing 1,000 things at once. Okay, hold on. Just give me just a second. Okay, just give me just a second. Also, I want more people to be in here before I get started, but I have to post this video one more place, and that's Twitter or X. Okay, so give me just a second. I'm just going to start the upload, and then we can get started. Okay. All right, hold on. Almost done, beloveds. Almost done. Okay, let me just add my tags really quick. Y'all, I'm scrambling. I had too much to do. Hold on. Okay, just a couple more tags. Okay, I'm done. All right, now it's sending. All right, sheesh. Y'all, if y'all only know how hard the queen be working, okay, to get y'all the receipts. Okay, so anyway, with that all being said, honey, this is all nefarious. I want you all to pay attention because I'm not shocked. In fact, I did tell you all the other day what I was expecting. And I also told you all why I was expecting that because I also explained for those of you who saw that broadcast where I said the body during the stages of decomposition. And I'm not saying this is what happened. Hold on for a second. Before I even get into that, let me put up something. Hold on. Now, I did tell you all that in fact, during the stages of decomposition, the body can produce the effect or make it look as though the person was drinking when they absolutely were not. How many of you remember me telling you all that? Okay, please put a 1 in the chat. I told you all that yes, it's probably going to come back that he had been drinking, because even if you weren't drinking, the process of decomposition can say that you were. Okay? So please pay attention. If you missed that video, go back and watch. Now, let me give my disclaimer. Views, opinions, allegations, and accusations expressed by guests, third parties, or commenters on their own do not necessarily reflect the views of the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. Content is presented for commentary, discussion, reporting, and educational purposes. Discussion for an allegation does not mean the allegation is true or endorsed by this channel. All persons are presumed innocent unless proven guilty in a court of law. Now, with that all being said, even my own opinions are not to be taken or confused with facts. Okay, because I can't substantiate some of the things that I say. These are just my theories and opinions and views. But what we will talk about that isn't alleged and isn't, speculation are the facts as they have been put out. So this morning, I was doing my research, or late last night, I was doing my research, or actually it was this morning. It was like 12 o'clock, after 12. So anyway, with that all being said, Chris Cuomo has come out and said that, in fact, Nolan his sources told him that there was leaked metrics of the toxicology report. So we're going to get into it right now. I'm sending my TikTok to my email so we can take a look. Okay. Actually, I don't have to do all that. I think it's uploaded on X already. So let's just go to the TikTok. And also this same show where Chris Cuomo was talking about this, the lawyer was on there, Bart's attorney. So I want to go to that later on in this live so we can listen to more of what was said. But for now, let's just see what we think about these results. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Here we go. Okay, here it is. This is all crazy. Remember, you heard it here, folks, people. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. So Chris Cuomo just came out and said that the metrics for Nolan Wells' toxicology reports were leaked, and that sources told him that Nolan had a high concentration or a high blood alcohol content, and that his death was in fact consistent with drowning, but not conclusive. Okay, please pay attention. Take a listen.
There are things that I know that the average person doesn't know that are not points of speculation. One, that they found now, and again, this could cut 3 different ways. They found evidence of water in tissue and cavities consistent with drowning. However, the body was also floating in the water and could have collected water. You could shoot me, I fall in the water, I could have water become the equivalent of ingested. Not that often, but it happens. In the stomach, yeah, a little bit. Depends on the condition of the epiglottis. The lungs, more common because there are more entryways that can get to it. The second is, okay, so there was water in there and he was drowned, but he had help drowning. And that the third possibility is that there was water there, but it is not conclusive. I am being told it is consistent with drowning. What that means investigatively is still open to interpretation. You've heard the same. Yeah, so there is no suggestion of gross injury. I thank you for the clarification. I do not mean to suggest otherwise. I'm saying that what I have been told, that there is evidence consistent with drowning, doesn't mean that he drowned necessarily, or that the drowning was the cause of death, or the water in there was the cause of death. I'm just being open-minded because that is the most practical way to be. Also, the headline information, not surprising to me, is that he was there drinking. He was seen drinking. He was known to enjoy drinking, and that's what was going on at Horn Island. You can feel any way you want about it, but it is, as a matter of fact, what the situation was about. So the toxicology early on shows a significant level of blood alcohol, the BAC level, as they call it in the body. You have also heard that. Am I correct, counsel? I'm going to wait till the pathologist puts out the report, and I'm going to wait till the district attorney puts out the evidence that they have. What I will say, what's safe to say is you cannot contradict me at this point. What I will say is that I think when all of the evidence is presented, it will be overwhelming, and that it will be overwhelmingly clear from witnesses, forensic evidence, pictures, videos, that what my client has said is true. And
Okay, so you all heard it for yourselves. I find this all very interesting, but at the same time, I'm not surprised because remember what I told you all about the decomposition process, okay, and the changes or the things that it can cause within the body. Okay, please pay attention. Drop me a comment to let me know what you think. I'm about to go live on YouTube right now on the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. All right, so what do you all think about that? What do y'all think about that? I find it very interesting. Now, my question is, how did the toxicology metrics get leaked in the first place? And who gave them to Chris Cuomo? Okay, I have several questions. Hold on, let me see if I can find that video real quick. Hold on. I'll look for that in a second. But in the meantime, because I've done so many videos, I'm not sure which one it is. What really happened to Nolan? Okay, listen, like I said, I'm not surprised at this. And then also, let's not forget that Rage Batum Tatum already told us certain things that were going to happen. And we were wondering, how would he know these things? Okay, I just have several questions. I absolutely do. But anyway, let's continue. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. Now let's go to this compilation of videos. Also, I was listening to, I want you all to pay attention because I was listening to, and what we need to talk about, here is the time of death. Okay, that's what we need to talk about. That's the question. The time of death is going to be very telling. But before we get into that, I want you all to hear this TikTok live that they were having this morning that I was listening to as I was researching. And basically, they were going back and forth. There was two MAGA types, okay, maggots. There were two of them, and they were trying to make the Black people feel stupid, basically saying, y'all don't know anything about water. But just listen. I'll let you decide for yourselves who sounded stupid.
This is an actual fact. You can go Google that. You want to know another fact?
So how many drownings on
I didn't
Horn
interrupt
Island?
you. I didn't interrupt you.
But how many? Yeah, you did. How many drownings on Horn Island?
Can somebody tell me? Can somebody tell me if I interrupted them or not?
No, you
Can
haven't.
somebody tell me how many drownings there's been on Horn Island?
Can somebody tell me? I'm gonna answer. I just answered your question.
No,
I just answered your question. I said that it's 1 to 2 per year when you include all of the islands. When you include all of the
asking about all of the islands. I'm asking about Horn Island.
Can I finish? Can
in
I
the
finish,
history
y'all?
of Horn
Can
Island,
finish,
how many drownings?
Y'all see
Because
what I'm
that's
saying?
what I commented
That
on. That was specifically what I said.
He's acting like a Karen now. He's acting like a Karen now, y'all. You see what I'm saying? Stop being a Karen, bro. I'll let you talk. Now I'm going to answer your question. Is 1 to 2 accidental, and the Horn Island is a barrier island. So go look it up. All right, they don't have.
So in other words, you don't know.
Oh my God!
You could let him finish.
Okay, y'all. Hey, somebody drop the galaxy. Hit him with the galaxy, y'all. Somebody hit him with the galaxy. Please hit him with the galaxy. I can't talk, y'all. See that the truth hurt him. The truth hurt him. Cause like Dor, hey, I'm about to use my boy Ambi voice. They are desperate for this to be an accident. He is desperate. He is desperate. He's desperate. He want to blame the Snow Bunny because he want to protect them boys. That's what you want to do. You want to blame the boys.
I don't think we have any proof either way.
Why does he keep interrupting me, Dor? Now, I'm going to answer your question for the 15th time, and hopefully this time I don't get interrupted. Okay, it's 1 to 2 per year. You feel me? 1 to 2 per year. That's all the islands included. That's next to it, brother. So this theory that you're coming up with that there was 17, maybe in the last 17 years, there's actually, I did the math. So Hyper, I want to tell you something. I actually did the math, right? And I actually did the percentage on my live 3 times. Do you know one of the highest percentage chances of you going to Horn Island and actually accidentally drowning? It is actually 0.002% chance. That means that you are actually 3 times more likely to get struck by lightning. Oh my God. What? Hey, just to let you know, man, I like to do like math in my spare time. So like I like to do like geometry, I like to do trigonometry, and I like to do algebra. So I was just like curious about the math. And I'm like, wait, if you have a 0.68% chance of getting struck by lightning, and you have a 0.002,
that's not true.
oh my God, here we go again. Do you want
It's true for Horn Island.
No. So the problem was that math is, sir, I can tell you why.
Okay, hey, I could turn on my camera and do the math right now on the board.
No, I'm telling you the math.
Season and per capita.
Hey, I can turn
season and per capita.
I can turn on my camera and do the math on my chalkboard right now for you.
What's different about the water there than water anywhere else?
What
you would have to use water in general.
So, hey, no. That's like, hey, y'all, this is what hey, this what he's trying to do, y'all. Let me tell you what he's trying to do. He's trying to deflect. He's trying to say that he's trying this. Hold on, Patrice. This is what he's trying to do.
Water is the same everywhere, sir.
Hey, let me finish. This is what he's trying to do, y'all. Imagine asking somebody if they're more likely to get pew-pewed in Chicago or Connecticut. You're obviously going to be more likely to get pew-pewed in Chicago. So if we're going to talk about drownings, we're going to have to talk about drownings specific to Horn Island. Nowhere else.
No, that's not how that works.
No, that's not
how that works because
that's exactly how it works.
So you're talking about, sir, I can tell you
the mathematics for electricity for that square miles.
No, that's not how it works. So you're basically saying a high crime rate area. I can tell you why, sir. It's not a deflection. You're not letting me finish.
Hey,
I can't even finish.
You gotta do.
What you're saying is false.
That's not the right thing.
Hey, we got 2 cameras on the panel. That's crazy. Can I finish? So what y'all?
Wait, you called on me. You said, "Hey, nobody."
No,
hey, nobody.
Not you, nobody. I'm talking about them too.
Oh, okay. I thought you were talking about me. I was like,
"Oh my God!" Could y'all just let me
been
talk?
your friend.
This is crazy. So at the end of the day, we can't talk about what's the odds of you drowning in Mexico. We got to talk about the odds on Horn Island. Now, the odds on Horn Island is 1 to 2 a year. Okay, 1 to 2 per year. I don't care about nowhere else. I don't care about Lake Elsinore. I don't care about Miami. I don't care about New Jersey. I don't care about Orange County. I care about Horn Island. What are the chances that you go to Horn Island and you accidentally drown? Okay. And how often does that happen on Horn Island? Because that is what we're talking about. You see, we can't talk about, pew-pew violence and then say, oh, well, it's really high in Guadalajara, Mexico. We got to talk about the cities that we're in. You want to talk about everywhere to fit your narrative. That's what you want to do. So Boring, you were wrong, okay? He has a better chance of being stung by a goddamn bee and having an allergic reaction than going goddamn accidentally drowning at Horn Island. Now, for the people in the chat, y'all probably like, well, what are you trying to say? You're trying to say it was foul play? No, I'm not trying to say it was foul play. I'm just saying that I wouldn't investigate it as an accident. That would be one of the last things that I do. I think that it's very well possible that he could have accidentally drowned. It could have been his unlucky day. But I think that other things are more probable when we look at the numbers. Huh? Now, dumb. I am not going to.
You're a bug, dude. Just talk normally.
Now I want you to pay attention to how he starts trying to insult this black man because he's upset because the man is right. And he sounds like an idiot saying that the water's the same everywhere. Of course it is not. Some waters are calm. Some waters have ripples. Some waters have the washing machine effect, like they say that they have at Horn Island in a certain spot in the water, okay? A certain spot. They call it the washing machine. So with that all been said, and some water is salt and some is fresh water, like they said. So he gets upset because he's trying to include all bodies of water or just different places, not just Horn Island or the barrier islands, because he wants to paint his narrative. Okay, that's what it is. And then later he starts talking about, I'm not going to play that part because it was like a 39-minute thing that I cut, but I only put up like 9 minutes of it for you all to hear because I don't want to hear the whole 30 minutes. But nonetheless, he later on starts to say things like, why am I arguing about water with people that don't know anything about water, people who've never been on the water? Well, this is what he assumes. He doesn't know that, but this is what most people like him assume, that Black people have never been on the water, that we don't know anything about it. Okay. And at the end of the day, even though he thinks he knows so much about water, what he said was absolutely obtuse. Okay, please pay attention.
Like a man. Stop talking like a bug.
What?
Now, mind you, the host isn't responding because the host left for a second.
What's going on? Can you hear me?
Yeah.
All right. So to say water, so basically what you're saying is you use two places for crime that the crime is different. If you were going to do that with water, what's different about the water there than anywhere else? Water is water, bro. It's going to be the same thing. That's not changing your numbers, and that's not deflecting. So you're using something. You're using apples and oranges, bro. It's not the same thing.
Did you look
Ask a
up how
question.
in that area?
Hold
I
on.
if you,
He's
you
crime in that area.
exactly,
I have
that's
a
my
question.
point. He used two places that are vastly different. Like it's not the same
Right.
thing.
You have to. Yeah, you'd use crime in that area then if you're using the water from that area.
But did you look up how many
That's my facts,
drownings?
nobody. And nobody. Thank you very much. You're proving my point. And and you see how I let him finish, y'all? And he said water is the same everywhere. No, it's not. You have salt water, you have fresh water, you have salt water
That's
with
right.
higher contents of salt. What are you talking about? You have that place has riptides and all kind of other stuff. Water is
Spring
nowhere
water,
near the same everywhere. What are you
spring
talking about?
water,
Ma'am, spring
mountain
What
water
are
is going
you
to be
water.
no
talking
different
about?
than that. That's fresh water, ma'am.
Uh,
That's still fresh water,
we could sparkling water. We could go on and on. Cook them
ma'am.
free.
Brown water, blue
That's
water,
fresh water.
Oh,
green
yeah. It's
water.
either salt water or fresh
Why
water.
am I
And
They
arguing with
got
Cook
people
him.
that
they
know
got
nothing about
distilled.
water?
Cook him.
It's
Cook him.
insane. People
They
that have
got
never been on the
distilled
water
water.
are
They got
arguing about water.
mineral water.
She has no idea. It's wild.
But we know it
If you
wasn't.
want to break
We
it
know
down to
there's
fresh
not a
water,
lot of
use
drownings
fresh
at
water.
Horn
If you want to
Island.
He
break it down
said
to salt water,
coconut
use salt
water.
water.
They killing them. They said coconut water.
Yeah, people that have never been on the water arguing about
Hey,
water.
you the
That's the
one who said
wild
all
part.
water the same, bro. What are you talking
Grew up
about?
on the
You
water,
said
brother.
So you can break it
I
down to
grew
fresh
up on.
water
You're
if you
not the
want, or you
only
can
one
break it
that
down to
grew up
salt
on the
water.
water with
I
both.
But
literally
the
just told you
problem the
salt water
problem
has
is the
different
numbers
My
are
whole
content of
higher.
family
salt.
have both.
Some salt water, some
Hey, so how
bodies of
many
water
people have
have
unalived on Horn Island this year by accidental
Just,
drowning?
nope,
just Nolan so
Okay,
far.
no.
so it
well,
fits the average, right? If you said there's 1 to 2 a year, so what's suspicious about that?
there's 3 to 4
I
typically
wasn't
during the
saying nothing different.
season,
All I did was start. Only
Okay,
thing I
because
talked
now
about
I'm
was
hearing
water. What are you
crickets. So
talking
what's the
about?
problem?
I say
but
one
it
thing and here
averages
y'all
Okay,
to 1
go.
to 2
it
per
fit the
year.
average.
Like I
So
ain't
what
said
are we
nothing different.
concerned about?
Hey, I have a question. I have a
Hold
question. I
on,
have a question. I
Tezza,
have a
come up and
question.
talk to me.
Yeah,
I have a question.
crickets. That's what I thought.
I have a question.
No,
I
I
have a
don't
question.
interrupt people like y'all, bro. I got a little decorum. You know what I'm saying? Y'all like the live, shut
Uh,
live, repost live, and drop y'all
Hold
heartbeats.
on. Free. Miss
now,
Free.
Mr.
Can I ask this
Free.
question real quick? Cause I gotta go.
Go.
Okay, so that was hilarious to me because that guy thought he knew so much of what he was talking about, but he clearly didn't. What kind of idiot says if you claim to know about water, why would you say water's everywhere? Water is the same everywhere. There's large bodies of water, small bodies of water. I mean, there are just so many reasons why water is different in different places. Okay, but clearly he was trying to paint a narrative and he didn't like where the conversation was going. Okay. Now it got a whole lot more volatile than that, as I was telling you all. So with that all being said, let's go on, and then we're going to talk about the time of death. Also, let me just remind you all that I told you weeks ago that drowning is a cause of death, but not the manner of death. Because, like Chris Cuomo said, you could shoot him and he could fall into the water and drown. Okay? That doesn't mean he died from drowning. All right? He could have died from the gunshot. There are a myriad of different things, okay? The specific medical or physical injury process that leads to death, such as drowning or a gunshot wound or a heart attack. Those are the causes of death. But the matter of death, the legal and administrative category that explains how the cause came about, how it came to be. The 5 official categories would be accident, homicide, self-deletion, natural, and undetermined, which is what they said it was in the second autopsy report. Okay, so please pay attention. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. It's about to get really real, you guys. Okay, it's about to get really real. Now, hold on here. I think this is the one I'm looking for. Yeah.
Ever got on the Triton that was under the age of 18 drinking and
Wrong one. Hold on.
Hey guys, I'm just here to debunk a photo that was going around. It was in the Cajun Navy report. This is the photo that is zoomed in, basically saying that that could have been Nolan. So in the Cajun Navy report, they have this photo on there saying that the newly supplied photograph is represented as having been taken at 4:50 Central on 4th of July. 19 minutes after the boat left. However, if you look on that bottom line, it says Nolan possibly is in this photo, but not confirmed. That is not Nolan. It is confirmed. This woman right here is confirming that this is not Nolan. She says, "This is not Nolan. This is my son with his friend. We're from Olive Branch and we're visiting family over the 4th. So I still have yet to see any confirmed photo of Nolan Wells on Horn Island after 4:31 p.m. when the boat left. Hey guys, I'm just here to debunk a photo that was going around. It was in the
around dropping hints. Family don't see this because that's not the point of this. These people who claim to be friends with Nolan are running around dropping hints on the internet, saying things like Nolan didn't deserve that, right? Which means you knew what happened and he didn't deserve that. And now we have another one who just dropped a video with some crocodile tears, basically saying they wouldn't do that to him. I'm like, okay, y'all are clearly trying to drop hints. You clearly received a photo, a video, or some communique or some link to go look at what they did to him. And you're trying to defend the people that people are going to accuse at some point of what happened to Nolan. And you're trying to also say you're friends with Nolan. So explain this to me, okay? If you think that they didn't do it, right? Why didn't you just go to the police? And if you know that Nolan didn't deserve that, why didn't you just go to his parents and tell his parents what they did to him? It seems that it's a game to y'all that these people lost their son. And y'all want to run around sniggling and grinning and dropping crocodile tears and hints about this and that when y'all could just be forthcoming, which says that y'all are not his friend, right? And it's just so sad that y'all obviously already know what happened and you just want to sit on it and just let it just drag out. Because if you didn't know what happened, right, you wouldn't be able to say they wouldn't do that to him. And if you had never seen what they did to him, you would not be able to say he did not deserve that. And it's sad. And honestly, you're going to get yourself roped up because you're either an eyewitness or you have evidence and you're sitting on it.
Sorry, I forgot I was muted. Okay, so she's basically implying that people have been putting different tidbits of information out there, like little clues or breadcrumbs. And that's exactly what it seems like. I can't substantiate the breadcrumbs that they're supposedly dropping, but it does seem like all of a sudden people are putting out, little tidbits of information. Thank you, Desmond. I just realized it, beloved. Okay, so now I'm going back to the TikTok I did. I also did a live about it, but where I talked about how the decomposition process could basically mimic drinking. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Now, they've been trying to push this narrative that Nolan was drinking heavily, okay, trying to make it look as though he were drunk. But I know exactly why they're doing that. Okay, let's get into it. A decomposing body can test positive for alcohol even if the person had not been drinking. This is due to a natural process that occurs in the body during the stages of decay or decomposition. Okay, please pay attention. Now, this is due to microbial fermentation or putrefaction. Now, as the body decays, the internal bacteria and fungi break down tissues and ferment sugars. Please pay attention. This produces natural ethanol, i.e. alcohol, inside the corpse. The natural decay process can produce a measurable blood alcohol concentration known as BAC, and that's even if the person didn't drink anything prior to dying. Please pay attention. Postmortem microbial production usually results in lower blood alcohol concentration levels. Okay, please pay attention. But in rare cases of severe contamination, higher levels can absolutely appear. Remember how Tap Dancing Tatum said that the toxicology report would absolutely show that Nolan had something in his system. And by that, I mean illegal substances. He says the person who told him this was credible, right? Well, let's talk about why that could possibly be, even if he didn't take illegal substances. See, a decomposing body can also yield false positive results for illegal substances. Okay, please pay attention. Now, this would happen during the preliminary testing, but of course, the mechanism is different than it is for alcohol. Now, initial postmortem rug testing depends on rapid immunoassay screens, okay, similar to a urine test, okay, like a urine sample you'd give at the doctor's office. Please pay attention. An immunoassay is a lab test that measures the presence or the amount of a specific substance, okay, and this is done using an antibody and an antigen. Please pay attention. Now, the test uses an antibody, which is a protein made by the immune system. It locks onto a specific molecule called an antigen or an analyte. But that all being said, it could test positive for this illegal substance that starts with an O and a P, okay? And also other narcotics, okay? Please pay attention. I believe this is absolutely why Tap Dancing Tatum is trying to imply that Nolan was taking illegal substances, and he's so certain, okay, that the toxicology report will come back showing that there was something in his system. Please pay attention. And also, let's not forget that Warren's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson, okay, works and specializes in toxicology. Now, he's a emergency medicine doctor who deals with people that have, taken too many illegal substances, okay, the O and the D. That's what he deals with mainly, but his subspecialty is toxicology. So he may be able to do a toxicology report, okay? But with that all being said, I'm not saying that he's going to do one in this case, and I'm not saying that he do anything shady, but I'm just saying the fact that he does have the knowledge to do these things, I find it all very convenient and very interesting, okay? Please pay attention. Mind you, this is all alleged. We don't know who did what. We just have a lot of suspicions and a lot of questions have not been answered. Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Ahmadiyyah Shakur. Okay, now hold on, because someone says Warren's doctor is a pain doctor. Yes, I know that. I think I've told you all that several times. But his subspecialty is, in fact, toxicology. Now, let's go to this video from Secret Service Sam, and then we're going to talk about the time of death. Likes up, everyone, please like and share, and why that is so important in this case specifically.
Sam here with a Nolan Xavier Wells update, and just a little something that makes you go, Now, the district attorney in this case is friends with the judge, okay? And then we've just seen, allegedly, the mayor attended the judge's personal party just a few weeks prior to when this happened. I don't know. It just seems a little odd. It reminds me a little bit of the Carmelo Anthony trial, where it felt like everybody was in bed together on the same team, fighting to not get justice. And it is no secret that Ocean Springs is a tiny town of 20,000 people, and everybody is very connected except the Wells family to this whole situation, because we've seen how everybody in that town has trashed Christine and the family for just bringing in Ben Crump to get justice for this boy that they pretend to care about, right? Because if they actually cared about Nolan, they would support the mother. There would not be racists online trying to give her 1-star ratings at her nursing job and getting her fired and having these investigations open up and saying that she's loving all this fame and just doing all these, press TV shows just for nothing. No, she is a mother who is grieving and will not give up until she gets answers for what happened to her son. If Ben Crump had not been brought in, this would just be another crime that Mississippi allegedly could have gotten away with, because we know in our hearts, in our soul, if there was no foul play like Tate Reeves and all them want us to believe, then why not show us the proof that there was no foul play? Why are they holding it up? Why is the district attorney hiding this in the grand jury? Why are they not coming forth with the autopsy? Just get it out of the way. If you have all the information that it was accidental, what are you waiting on? No justice, no peace. Secret Service, Sam.
I find it all so interesting. Now, Perry wants to know, Chris Cuomo is no authority on anything. I am certain he is a racist, so why are you following him? Well, why are you following me if I'm following him and he's racist? Listen, I'm trying to get the information, okay? So I'm going to follow whoever I want, will, or may to get it. And he's the one coming out saying what they're saying about the toxicology report. Don't you think we should know what they're saying? Okay, whether we believe it or not, we absolutely should. Okay, so that's why I'm following him, beloved. Any more questions? Now, with that all being said, let's talk about how and why we need the timing of death. First of all, let's talk about the fact that maceration, which I told you all about, right? When I did that whole breakdown about aquatic decomposition and all of that. So you would find out, or the pathologist would find out, the timing of death through the process of maceration, which is basically when it will tell how long the body was submerged. Okay, and with that being said, the process could be sped up or slowed down depending on the temperature of water, as I told you all previously. But also, the thing is, it would just give you an estimate basically. And I think that is pivotal in this case specifically because we know that it has been reported that the boys, when they were on the boat making the call for distress, that where they made the call from, according to the GPS data, is in close proximity to where Nolan's body was found, right? So now, if they last saw Nolan at 3 o'clock, that's what they said initially, but then they say that they were yelling at him. Someone was yelling at him to get on the boat. That was probably around 4 o'clock because they were calling for the boat tow at like 4:31. So I think we need to know exactly what time the time of death was to see if the time of death matches the time the call was made. Okay, or where the boys were during the time of death. That would exonerate them, right? Or not. So either way, that's very important. Don't you all think? Put in one of the chats if you think that's something we need to know. And also the fact that Chris Cuomo claims that this information was leaked to him through sources makes me suspicious, because was this leaked on purpose? How would this information get leaked? I thought they wanted to present it to the grand jury first before any of it was put out. I think that it was purposely given to Chris Cuomo so that he could report on it, and so that this would try to quell all of the suspicions, okay, and the supposed conspiracy theories that they claim that people are making online. That's what I think that was for. That's why I think that they absolutely sent it to Chris Cuomo, because it's not a coincidence that he has this information. Okay, how did he get it? You know what I'm saying? I just find that very interesting. Okay, so Natural Empress says, furthermore, Queen is reporting info, so she should draw info from all areas and if and when possible. Exactly. Like, I'm not going to not listen to relevant information to this case just because you think someone's racist. Even if I think they are, that still is irrelevant to me. If there is important information I need to know, I'm going to go where I need to get it. And that's how that goes. Okay. But also what I find interesting is the fact that, remember when the young lady showed all of those cameras in the surrounding areas or the houses and all of that? There are also flock cameras out there. Okay, so nobody saw anything. There were flock cameras, didn't capture anything. Also, let's talk about, this had to be the perfect storm. Okay, this had to be the perfect storm or the worst luck for them ever. Because on the day that all of this happened, let's talk about the things that happened to them. Okay, so there was a fight that happened. Okay, Wyatt's brother got into a fight. Trayston got into a fight. How is it that two people out of the friend group got into fights? Okay, now I'm not saying that couldn't happen. I'm just saying, just think about all of the events that happened that day. So they had two fights, and then there was even someone fighting over a phone. Now they say that it wasn't Nolan, and maybe it wasn't, but nonetheless, you know why that's still important and interesting? Because they said that people have been reporting and saying that no one takes their phones in the water. Everyone leaves their phones on the boat. So why is somebody arguing over a phone when there's supposed to be little to no reception? Okay, make sense. But then also, next thing you have is your friend whom you claim was heavily drinking, okay, and was moving slow, slurred speech and all of that. And so your friend got that tipsy, and then your friend said they wanted to stay on the island and they catch a ride back. Well, these are all a bunch of circumstances or things that happened, events that to me would make up a perfect storm. In fact, if true. Now, I'm not saying they aren't true. I'm saying if they are. Now, also, they had their boat break down. All of a sudden, the boat's taking on water. Now, just think about it. Think about all of these events and all of these things that happened on that day. So now you're leaving. First of all, you're on Horn Island to enjoy yourselves. Y'all get into numerous fights. Okay, at least two, right? Then your friend gets drunk. Your friend gets left. Nobody's seen him. And then on your way leaving, the boat breaks down. You start having water coming onto the boat. You call to get a tow. Your grandfather, one of the passengers' grandfather, cancels the tow. And then they ask you if you need the Coast Guard, and you say you don't need the Coast Guard. But why not? If the boat is sinking, I don't understand that. That makes no sense. And nobody's going to make that make sense to me. Okay, your boat is sinking and you don't need the Coast Guard. You're not panicking. Why wouldn't you need it? Make it make sense. Also, if Nolan did drown, how come nobody saw him? How come nobody saw anything going on? I'm sorry, there was thousands of people out there, hundreds to thousands, according to them, and even from the video footage that we saw. So how did no one see him if he was in fact drowning? Okay, and I'm not saying he did drown. I just have questions as to why no one saw him drown. Okay, also, Katie disagrees with what they said. They said that they were calling him to get on the boat and he decided to stay with Katie. Katie says that's not true, that he was walking towards the boat and they were calling him to get on the boat. And so she thought that he got on the boat. Okay, another discrepancy. And then people are blaming these same people for something happening to him. All right. And so, yeah, I find that all very interesting. Those are a strange turn of events to happen to people all in one day. That's just my opinion. Okay, I find it all very interesting. Now, let's continue because I really don't understand why some of this stuff that happened was not caught on flock cameras. Let's go to the footage. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Okay, we're going to try to make this about the facts more so than anything. Of course, I will give my commentary and my opinion, but let's talk about the facts of the matter specifically.
Cameras all around the areas of Ocean Spring in the vicinity of where his friends and Nolan Wells was last seen. She traveled the streets in hopes to find a lot of cameras on people's houses and found that they are pointed towards the water. There are 4 flock cameras in this area if they went up under that bridge. This is the first one. This is the second flock camera that would have seen them possibly. The other bridge above them that has 2 flock cameras located exactly on the bridge. This is the other one. As I stated before, check the fucking flock cameras. There's like 50. This would be this flock camera. This comes with more images of people saying that this is Nolan Wells. But what I find the most ironic thing is, y'all, he popped up on my Facebook as a people you may know. And this is Deer Island right here. Here's an image of it. Breeley then goes to say that this is near another dock that's in Ocean Springs.
There are lots of holes, like that's Deer Island. And Deer Island ends right there.
Her location at Ocean Springs, she's traveling to Biloxi to look at camera.
Right there. That's what it's facing. The beach. Now I've already showed you her cameras around that location. There's a camera right there. Off the bridge.
There's so many cameras out there. There's even ring cameras on the houses in the vicinity of the area. Now this is the Biloxi Bridge going to Ocean Springs. Now, if you zoom in right here, you'll see Horn Island in the very back. They would have had to travel all through here, through the bypass, and up under the bridge. Bree Lee allegedly went and found more security cameras.
Okay, also, I'm going to let you all go to this next video, but also something that's important to note is that if you all remember, and this is something that they were arguing about in that TikTok live that I played for you. This is something else they were arguing about. They were arguing about whether or not his body was bloated. None of them seemed to know whether or not it was. Okay, but the body was not bloated because they said specifically, the Cajun Navy said that it was not waterlogged. Remember? Now, here's the thing. In order for, it is not necessary for the body to be waterlogged for a person to have drowned. But at the same time, if a body has been in the water for 2 days, 48 hours, it should absolutely have been waterlogged. And I told you all that before. Okay, it would 9 times out of 10. Normally, it would absolutely be waterlogged. Now, there's always exceptions to the case, but is this a coincidence? What do you all think about that? I find it interesting. Please pay attention. I'm going to pull up receipts in just a second, but check out this video in the meantime.
Y'all, just how insufferable these people are. And don't worry, Christine, I already screen recorded the videos and screenshotted the dates, the timestamps, which is today that the video was posted. So when you do get a chance to breathe, if you want to take people to court for making up things about you and potentially impacting your income, your ability to get brand deals in the future, and your license as a nurse, you can do so, because this lady got on the internet and is telling people blatant misinformation intentionally.
Wells' mama Christine is on Facebook under some assumed name. It's called Valor something, doing get.
Now, if you all remember, this is the same exact lady that I went on yesterday, because she was definitely telling blatant lies, okay? I don't know if she's doing it for clicks or views. I don't know if someone's paying her to do it. I don't know why she's doing it, but she's lying. Okay, please pay attention.
Ready with me's, and then at the same time she's being investigated. Allegedly, someone has filed a complaint because she's a licensed practitioner or nurse practitioner.
Now let's start with how easy it is for you to find the truth before you start spreading misinformation. Under this post that was posted on this page, it says that they thanked Christine. Why would Christine write a message to herself thanking Christine? I mean, that's just the obvious, right? And then if you go back to the page and you do a simple look through the page, you'll see that this Father's Day message was posted after the loss of her son. Her son lost his life on July 4th or around July 4th or 6th. Father's Day is in June.
Happy Father's Day to all the amazing dads out there, especially to my husband who shows up.
Now, to add to all of that, Christine, the grieving mother herself, had to get on Facebook and clarify on July 31st that that was not her page. And clearly, if you look through the page, those are old videos, because they even have the video of her addressing people on the internet crying about the loss of her son. Is you cool? And then the same social media user had the audacity, thinking that she was giving us tea but is really pissed, to come on here and tell us that Ben Crump is not the family's official attorney because he's not licensed in Mississippi. Ben Crump himself told us that. He's licensed in Florida. Y'all think he's licensed around the globe? He defends Black civil rights cases in every state. He cannot be licensed everywhere. Be so serious. And even if she was doing get ready with me's, who cares? She lost her son. She can do whatever she wants. Let me show y'all.
I mean, the hate is real, and even coming from some of our own people, sadly. Okay, sadly. And you're right, I am technology. She is a raccoonette. Okay, please pay attention. Now, that being said, let's talk about this waterlogging of the body as it pertains to someone having drowned. Okay, we've gone over this before, if I'm not mistaken. So check this out. A body will absolutely show distinct signs of being waterlogged after 2 days in the water. You know, like I said, and I'm not being biased in my information, okay, I want you all to pay attention. And the last time we talked about this, I showed you all peer-reviewed research, okay, because here's the thing. And then I heard somebody saying they use peer-reviewed research, and I just laughed to myself. I don't know where they get it from, but at the end of the day, I use peer-reviewed research to websites that everyone does not have access to. Okay, by the fact that I'm a former college professor, I have certain credentials to where I can use these certain websites that the government uses, the FBI and all of them, LexisNexis, okay, ProQuest, Academic Search Complete, numerous, EBSCOhost. I could go on and on. The person that said this, they're not using those websites, honey, because they don't have credentials. Okay, that's what they don't have. But with that all being said, they just mimic my talking points because they're desperate. Now, with that all being said, let's talk about it further, because the body would absolutely show distinct signs of being waterlogged after 2 days in the water. In forensic science, this specific waterlogged appearance is caused by a process called maceration. By the 48-hour mark, the physical changes to the skin are prominent and highly visible. Now, the expected timeline of waterlogging or maceration. And mind you, as I told you previously, this is the type of stuff, the process, the maceration specifically, that would help the forensic pathologist know the time of death, or at least give them an estimate, shall I say. So in 20 to 60 minutes, the fingertips and toes of the initial pruned or wrinkled look, which is what they call washerwoman skin. You know how you put your hands, you have your hands submerged in water and they start to wrinkle? That's what that means. 24 hours, the wrinkling spreads completely across the thickened skin of the palms and the soles, the hands and the soles of the feet. The skin becomes noticeably pale, swollen, and soft. Okay, now within 48 hours, the waterlogging deepens. Excuse me. The outer layer of skin, the epidermis, begins absorbing so much water that it starts to lose its connection to the deeper tissue. Okay? And while the skin will definitely be waterlogged after 2 days, internal bloating is highly variable and depends entirely on water temperature. Now, let me read that again because I want you all to pay attention to the details. While the skin will definitely be waterlogged after 2 days. He died on July the 4th, found July the 6th. That's 2 days. Okay? So I'm sorry, the math ain't mathing for me. The math isn't mathing for me. So how about y'all? What do y'all think? Is the math mathing for you? Because it's not for me. Okay? It's not for me. At the end of the day, I'm not buying what they're selling. And that's just my opinion. But hold on. Let's go to what Nolan's grandfather said on his post. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. I mean, I just find it all so interesting because I told you all this is exactly what was going to be said. Okay? I knew it was coming. Now, mind you, even though the decomposition process can mimic the signs of someone drinking alcohol or even taking illegal substances, the pathologist could figure all of this out by doing simple bone marrow testing, and different testing through other parts of tissue. But did they do that is what I'd like to know. Did they do that? Because if there was a forensic pathologist, in fact, who was trying to paint a narrative, and I think Stacey Turner is not to ever be taken as a credible medical examiner, because we know what she's done in the past. We know the accusations against her, and we know things that people have said. So I don't believe anything she says. I'm sorry, I just don't. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, let's go to this post from Nolan's grandfather. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Like I told you on this channel, we've been covering this story from day one. Okay, and you hear a lot of breaking news specifically about this case on this channel. I have done over 80 videos about Nolan Wells, and that's just on YouTube. We're not even talking about TikTok and Instagram and all of that. Okay, so here's what it says. What is wrong with Brandon Tatum? Everything is a deflection to the max. Why try to have a conversation with someone that doesn't see anything wrong with society? Well, that's a very good question. That is a very good question. Okay, this man wants us to act like there's nothing to see here, folks, and that we're all just trying to lie and paint narratives and just want to be going in on people who don't look like us. And that is absolutely not the case. And he knows that, but he wants to feign that he believes that's the case. I'm sure he's getting paid pretty good to spew these narratives. Okay? I'm pretty sure he is. Now, this is his other post. He said, what's the purpose of the three friends going to Horn Island to do an investigation over a month after Nolan's death. Okay, nothing but theatrics. It's too late. This was reported on CNN. Yeah, and that's exactly what I said. That's exactly what I said. A month later, you want to go out there talking about you're trying to conduct an investigation? Make that make sense. Okay, for what? Now that all the scrutiny has come out, now that people are saying all these things, and also let me just show you all something else too, by the way. So there were a myriad of pictures. You see, the interesting thing is some of these so-called friends took pictures with Nolan and had them posted on their social media, but then all of a sudden they come up deleted. And I find it interesting. So let's take a look at some of these pictures that have now supposedly allegedly been deleted. Okay, now I have questions about this. Okay, now I haven't checked their social media, so I can verify, but this is what people are saying. And here are some of the pictures. And you know, I quite frankly believe this to be true because for the simple fact, they initially deleted their social media. They shut their social media down, which I thought was very suspect. Okay? Before they removed them. Let's go to a few others. I mean, why would you delete, if this is your good friend, why would you delete his pictures from your social media? Like, make that make sense. I don't get it. Okay, if my friend passed away, there's no way I'm deleting pictures. There's no way. If anything, I'm going to put captions under them about how much I miss my friend. Okay, how much I loved and cared about my friend, just like Javon did. But it looks like Javon's the only one who did that. Now other people want to act like they care so darn much that they're going out here to conduct an investigation. Like, please miss me with it. Okay, stop insulting our intelligence. At this point, it's just annoying. Okay, supposedly all deleted. Now, Irma says, in my opinion, the government is not about to risk being accused of being part of a cover-up. They're going to throw them to the wolves. It's too much public awareness on it now. Someone has to take the fall, just in my opinion. Well, here's the thing, beloved. I don't put anything past the government. Since when has the government ever cared about cover-ups? When have they ever cared about us accusing them, the public that is, accusing them of cover-ups, beloved? Think about the JFK assassination. The people accused them of a cover-up in that. Okay, Martin Luther King also, Dr. Martin Luther King, and also Malcolm. They've been accused of cover-ups numerous of times. The FBI, you know, went down to Mississippi for the three civil rights workers who lost their lives. Now, that's about one of the only investigations I would say that there wasn't a concerted cover-up, in my opinion, by the FBI. And that is likely because two of those men that died were white. Okay? Had it just been James Chaney, the black guy, I don't think they would have even gone down there. That's just my opinion. Well, they would have gone down there, surely, but I don't know if they would have come back with the same findings. Okay? Please pay attention. So I'm just saying this is just given. I don't know. It just seems like narratives being painted for me. Now let's go to what this MAGA minion says, because he wants to get sued. He is so mad. And I want you all to think about something. Think about what that guy said yesterday on that video I showed you. He said if they get a red herring, or no, that's how he said. He said if they get a Hail Mary and they're able to prove they did it, he said you better go to the gun shop. What does that even mean? Why would they want to get violent? Why would anyone want to get violent over the findings? We're not the ones out here pressing charges. We're not the ones out here doing anything. We're just trying to search for answers. But why would he be mad at everyone that's black? Okay, throwing dog whistles out there, telling people to go to the gun store. Okay, please pay attention. Now here's another mad maggot.
Sued up. This is exactly what needs to be done. Sue Ben Crumb, sue Al Sharpton, sue all the social media guys that are coming out and putting nonsense out there. The left social media guys, start with Don Lemon, who every day bashes these kids with zero evidence. Zero evidence. Sue them all. Sue them. And that's what we got to do. got to get attorneys right on the spot and lawsuits filed. That's what has to be done to stop the nonsense of the left. It's out of control. They ruin people's lives over nothing. Lies. BS, lies. And it's ridiculous. I know you feel the same way. You see it on TV. You know they're lies. You know they're standing up in front of the press lying. Total 1,000% lying. And now let's seek justice. You want to lie? You want to F around and find out? You're going to F around and find out. Sue their asses.
Pretty sure it's clearly triggered. He certainly is clearly triggered. Okay, please pay attention. Now, with that all being said, he's talking about people effing around and finding out. That looks like that's what he's going to be doing in a minute. Okay, very emotional. Yes. Why is he so upset? Okay, he acts like he has a personal, vested interest in this case. He is very angry, and I just have questions as to why. Now, with that all been said, let's go to this interview that Chris Cuomo did, because there's a few timestamps I want to go to. There's a few of the timestamps that I want to look into as we watch. He's sitting there going off. This is the first timestamp. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance, beloveds. Okay, let's go to the 28-minute mark. I had to find my timestamps, so I'm not just scrolling. Now I'm going to use an overlay on this because this is on Chris Cuomo, the Chris Cuomo show.
Where other people were panicked about what had happened to Nolan Wells.
That's correct.
And no one saw your client with Nolan Wells while the boat was leaving.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not to my knowledge. I can tell you that he wasn't with him. Well,
So then it doesn't really matter what the sweetened audio says unless there was another guy with the same name as your client who was on that boat at a different time. Other than that, because the CETO call is happening while he's there. So unless it's patched together from different moments, your suggestion is it cannot be accurate.
So he's saying that Bart wasn't there. Why would somebody say, damn it, Bart, if Bart wasn't there? And I'm not saying that he was there because I don't know. But why would someone say, damn it, Bart? Why would they say that? But here's the thing. Didn't they say they called Bart to pull the plug in the boat? Let's keep listening.
Yeah, I will just say again that my client had nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells, has no knowledge of the circumstances of Nolan's death, and it was no way involved in covering up or concealing any information that would be relevant to investigators figuring out what happened to Nolan.
Have the investigators come back to your client?
He's talked to the investigators. I'm not sure what you mean by come back to him.
Like, have they had follow-up questions for him on more than one occasion after they asked for his initial statement and cooperation?
Yeah, I think he talked to different sets of investigators. And I want to be very careful that I don't insert my own speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But my appreciation is that he's talked to different sets of investigators. As an example.
I just want to remind everyone, please be careful of what you put in the chat, please. Okay, I don't allow anything that's racially disparaging against any other group in the chats, okay? So please be mindful of what you're putting in the chat, okay? Try not to call people names, specifically anything that could pertain to, sound like, or has any relation to a racial slur. Thank you in advance.
The DMR form that shows that he was identified as one of the two boat owners, which has been misinterpreted by some people. He let DMR officers onto the boat to take the GPS and all of that. those would be investigators that would be separate from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Mm. Does your client remember the last time he saw Nolan Wells at the event? Obviously, he knew he was part of the group, even though he wasn't with him specifically, because it was multiple people, multiple boats. Does he remember the last time he saw him there?
Yeah, what I would say on that is he has told me that he did see.
I keep forgetting I'm muted. Listen, I just noticed something. I just noticed something right now. Hold on. Let me go back just a minute. Look at the can Nolan is holding. Maybe because it's showing bigger on the screen, but hold on.
He was part of the group, multiple boats. Does he remember?
Okay, so you all see this can, right? Now, yesterday, when we were trying to figure out what that can had in it, I noticed something that I didn't notice. I noticed something now that I didn't notice yesterday. Look at the can. I told you all yesterday it was white with light blue at the top. But now, because it's bigger for me, you all may not be able to see it. I'm going to screenshot it. Hold on and show it to you all, because I think this is exactly what one of you all said. And I want to say, was it Odd Negroes Official? I believe it was Odd Negroes Official. I'm going to zoom in and take a, yeah. I'm going to show you all what this was, okay? This is one of the things that you all said it was, okay? This is one of the things that you all said it was. Hold on. Now, if I could just remember what you all called it. Somebody, and I think it was Odd Negroes Officials, and she's not even in here, is she? I think it's exactly what she said it was. Hold on, let me pull this picture up real quick. Likes up, everyone, please. Like and share. Thank you in advance. I'll wait for this to go to my email. Which one, you guys, when we were talking about what Nolan had in his hand, do you all remember high noon? That's it. Okay, I think that is it, beloved. Now, let me just pull that up. Yeah, I couldn't see all of that yesterday. I didn't see that. Hold on. That's what it looks like. One of those pictures that we pulled up. What's it called? High noon seltzer water, right? This is what it looks like. This is what it looks like Nolan was holding in his hand. Hold on. Let me share it on the screen. This is what it looks like right here. Hold on. Let me take this off. Okay, here we go. It looks like that. That's what it looks like, because yesterday I couldn't see it. Okay, it's a vodka seltzer. Looks like Celsius drink. This is what it kind of looks like, because I couldn't see the yellow part yesterday. I could see the blue, but now it looks like the way he's holding it, that his hands were covering that part of it. Okay, that's what it looks like. Hold on, let me pull it up. You can literally see the yellow between his fingers. And I didn't notice that yesterday. That's why I said I didn't think that was it. Hold on. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. We're doing real detective work right now, beloveds. Live and in real time. See that? Y'all see that, right? See how it's blue right here? You see the yellow between his fingers? You see that? Y'all see that, right? That's exactly what y'all said it was. That's exactly what y'all said it was yesterday. It's expensive water. But he was drunk. He was drunk. Please, miss us with it. Love Christy said you heard it here first. You absolutely did. We were researching this yesterday on Live in Real Time for those of you who missed it. Okay? All right, Delano said it has low alcoholic volume. Exactly. We know Nolan wouldn't have been out there drunk and staggering and stuttering like they claim, because he had His football training camp was supposed to start that Monday. So why would he be doing it? Also, the fact that the coach was out there. And another thing that I find interesting, and you all let me know what you think, why is it that when they were telling their stories, the boys that is, why didn't they mention Natural Empress says Queen is on the case, solid 100. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Now, here's the question. When they were talking about who was on the boats and who was doing this and who was doing that, why did they ever mention the adults? Why didn't they mention the adults? I have several questions. Okay, I have several questions. Why didn't they ever mention the adults? They didn't say anything about them now, did they? Okay. Danger said 4.5% ABV. Okay, well, I'm sorry, but we just figured out what this was. Okay, that's not alcohol. Okay, please pay attention. Timothy said, great work, Queen. Thank you, beloved. I appreciate you. Y'all, we be breaking news over here. You know, these bigger content creators be trying to steal, but guess what? We're still on it. Okay, we're still on it. Please pay attention. You heard it here first. Now, with that all being said, that makes it more unlikely for me to believe that he was absolutely drunk, that there was a high level of alcohol content in his body. If there were, I would have to venture to guess that it came from the stages of decomposition, just like I told you all weeks ago. And also, that was breaking news on this channel. I was the first one who told you all that. Okay, please pay attention. So I don't believe these people. I don't believe it. I think narratives are being painted and a whole lot of other BS is going on. That's what I absolutely think. Now, let's go back to this video with Chris Cuomo. Let's go back to that because I want to hear what they're saying. Now, I have a 14-minute timestamp marked on my paper where I was taking notes. I don't remember exactly what was being spoken on. Okay, but let's go back to that, to the 14-minute mark, because I skipped ahead of myself and went to the 28-minute mark. So let's get into it. I want y'all to pay attention. Y'all said that yesterday. I just happened to notice it just now, but I'll give the credit to you all because you all were the one yesterday. You all were the ones that said what that drink was. And I just want you all to pay attention. The fact that we research in real time and find the evidence in real time and different things like that, this is how you know. Even though people try to steal, honey, they can't beat us. We're undefeated over here. Please pay attention. Okay, please pay attention. Now, we're gathering these receipts in real time. We're not copying anybody else like some people do and not giving credit. Please pay attention. Okay, here we go. The 14-minute mark.
With Nolan and 3 friends that are white on the back of a boat. And I think a lot of people developed the thought, okay, 4 friends went out on a boat together.
3 came back.
Only 3 came back. And they went to some desolate place. The reality is they went to a place with hundreds of people. There were way more than 4 friends. It was a mixed race group.
Now I remember why I put that timestamp. I want you all to pay attention because what he's now doing, the attorney, Russell Latino, what he's now doing is he's mimicking tap dancing Tatum's talking points. He's saying that there wasn't 4 boys on a boat going to a deserted island. There was a mixture of people and there was thousands of people there. Nobody ever said that. Nobody ever alleged that there was only 4 of them going to an island all by themselves. I want you all to pay attention to how they continuously paint this narrative to act as though they're debunking something. You're not debunking a damn thing. That's what you're not doing, sir. Okay, you can sue whoever the hell you want. But the bottom line is you're not debunking anything because nobody ever was saying that it was only Nolan and his 3 friends going to a deserted island. Who said that, when, and where? Post the receipts. They won't because no one said it. Tatum made that up. And now this clown is mimicking what he said. Okay, we already knew there was hundreds, if not thousands of people there. It happens every year, 4th of July. You can look this up with a simple Google search. But also we saw the footage and we saw the pictures. So we know this. He's not telling us anything we don't already know. See, I want you all to pay attention. What these devils do, and that's anybody that's on the side of the wrong, and that's anybody that wants to sit there and paint a narrative, and that's anybody that's mad because social media is digging deep into this. They will sit there and talk about things that have already been put out. Okay, it's already been put out. There was hundreds of people there. We already saw everything. Not to mention when they talk about Ben Crump, you know, basically they lied on Ben Crump twice. Okay, I want you all to pay attention to that at the end of the day. And not only this, they keep talking about things that are absolutely irrelevant. Like Ben Crump is not licensed in Mississippi. His license in Florida. He already told us that. Why do they keep saying things that have already voluntarily been put out? Acting so those are things that we have lied about. Do you all get what I'm saying? They're trying to act like people on social media were lying about Ben Crump's license, were lying about, you know, just certain aspects of this case. Like we were all sitting here saying, oh yeah, it was just Nolan and his 4 friends or his 3 friends. They took him out there by himself and he didn't come back. Nobody said that. And I'm so sick of them trying to paint these BS narratives. But let's continue.
So it wasn't just that Nolan was the only black friend in the group.
Which explains some of the pictures out there of mostly white party goers with a black guy, and they just assume if it's a black guy, it must be Nolan. He was the only one. The pictures are not accurate. They're not even, some of them are not even from that day. And you're saying that your client says Nolan was not the only black guy.
Well, I don't know that my client is saying that. I think a lot of witnesses are saying that. I think Trayston Shepard, who is black, has said that he was out there. I think Javon Williams, who is black, has said that.
What in the hell does he keep saying Javon, who is black? He said that. Trayston, who is black. Pay attention. They're the ones that keep bringing up race. They're the ones who keep bringing up race. Okay, I want you to pay attention to this. And they keep trying to use race to justify, okay, their point and to help with their narrative. Now, I'm not saying any of these boys did anything. That's for the court of law to determine or decide. That's for the grand jury to determine or decide whether or not they're going to indict anyone. But the bottom line is they're sitting up here making it about race, not us. They keep emphasizing, oh, he's black, he's also black, as if that's supposed to make the rest of us black people shut the hell up because other black people are going along with it. I don't give a damn who said what. Okay, I'm going to follow the facts to wherever they lead. And so far, the fact of the matter is, and this is not alleged, that you can be in the stages of decomposition after death, and it can mimic the signs of someone having been drunk. It can mimic the fact that someone took illegal substances. Those are facts. Okay, those are facts. The fact is that Warren Hudson's father, Dr. Benjamin Hudson, works in toxicology as well. That is his subspecialty. That is a fact. Another fact is these boys have been caught in numerous lies, contradictions, even contradicting not only each other, but themselves. And they wonder why we have questions. They wonder why we have questions. They're not debunking any damn thing. They never have. They just keep saying the same stupid stuff that Tatum said. Okay, but we know better. We have critical thinking skills on this channel. Okay, please pay attention.
That he was out there as part of that group. And look, I want to be very careful not to name people who haven't already inserted themselves by talking to media, because this is a witch hunt. I mean, at this point, any name that comes out, people assume that person is a new culpable suspect. But both of those gentlemen have chosen to talk about what happened while they were out there and to make the point that Nolan was, in fact, not the only black friend in that group.
Understood.
I say all that to say that there have been narratives set through.
This is the same person sitting here talking about narrative set, but he's the same one who's talking about race. Okay, please pay attention. He's the one that keeps bringing up race. Make that make sense. Now, hold on. Miss Lovely said, Queen, how can I send you a message? Beloved, I just dropped you my email. It's QueenAhmadiyyah@gmail.com. I just dropped it in the chat for you, okay? Go ahead and send it. Thank you. Now, let's get back to the bullshit.
Throughout this discussion that are false narratives and that have allowed people to develop a perception of what Horn Island would have looked like or what Nolan would have experienced that is in no way accurate.
Understood. Why you're proffering that, and consistent with what I understand of the investigation. Now, have to say, frustrating. The unknown is very powerful as a narrative device, especially within the true crime space, maybe uniquely so. The investigators, since the initial, what I say, in my opinion, was the wrong way to come out of the box in this situation, after that, they have said almost nothing because it's all being presented to a grand jury. That level of secrecy is rare, but is righteous. That's how it should be until the grand jury figures out whether it's going to hand up an indictment or not. And then the investigators have more of a clear path, as do anybody who wants a FOIA request or to get more information. So that is a semi-secretive proceeding. The fact that nothing's coming out is not necessarily suspicious. The early indication, I think, triggered a lot of people. I think rightly so, especially Nolan Wells' family. But that's my opinion. I put it to the side. Germane to your case or your concern, that conversation from the sweetened audio where there's one voice calling Cito, I have an account, we've got a little problem. Kid doesn't sound panicked. Is very pro forma, saying he has an account because they charge you different things if you have an account or if you don't. And then there is a background conversation which sounds terrible. Sounds like there's blaming and about Nolan waking up, and Nolan may well be there by the nature of this conversation.
I surprised my dad with a custom song, and his reaction was incredible. You must see this.
Cito Assistance, Vicky speaking. How can I help you?
Hey, we're at the west tip of Horn, and our bilge pump stopped working. We're sinking. Can y'all please come? We have a membership.
All right, of course. How far is the work coming up, sir? Can you give me a description? Ankles? Hello?
Hey.
Yes. How far is the water coming up, sir?
It's coming up. We're just sinking. I don't know. Like we're going down now.
What is your position on the veracity of that sweetened audio?
So let me address a few things that you said there, and then I certainly will address the audio. There were more than 20 people between those two boats that witnessed what happened between those two boats that were on those vessels. There are, in fact, pictures of who was on those vessels and video of who was on those vessels. There were also a lot of people that were in the water. Like when we're talking about the aid that my client provided to the distressed vessel, it wasn't way out in the water. It literally was while they were still anchored next to Horn Island. So
Understood.
you're talking about dozens of people that saw what happened there.
Understood, which makes sense because an experienced boater, which these kids are, they go to the island all the time, they fish all the time, they're around boats. You don't take off if you're taking on water. You try to figure out what it is and what to do about it before you leave. I mean, I've been in exactly that position. It makes sense that it would have happened while they were still stationed.
So and so let's also, as we talk about the audio, acknowledge what you said about why investigations stay quiet the way that they do. Because I actually think the audio is a great example of why investigations stay quiet.
Clearly, he's upset about the audio because they said his client's name. Damn it, Bart. That's what they said. Okay, and there's no disputing that as far as I'm concerned. There is no disputing that. Okay, they said, damn it, Bart. Why would they say that if Bart wasn't there? Okay, and I'm sorry. I thought Bart was the one who jumped in to pull the plug. I thought that was who that was. I find it all very interesting. Narratives seem to be being painted here. This just makes me have even more questions. Okay, this lawyer is sitting here going hard in the paint. He's acting as if he knows things for facts, and he was not even there.
You know, that audio gets released by the Mississippi Department of Marine Resources. A version of it, it's not clear that that was the original audio. And then people take it and try and pick it apart. So you have mentioned.
Let me tell you something else that I brought up early on. Something else I brought up early on, if you all remember, is when Warren said, when he was talking to Tap Dance and Rage Tatum, he said, my buddy was calling Nolan, get the F on the boat. Get the F on the boat. I asked you all, why in the world would someone be calling someone to get on a sinking boat? Why would you be calling someone to get on a sinking boat? Does that make sense to you? Because if the boat's sinking, the extra person, okay, another person is just going to add to it and help it sink quicker. That's what I would think if I had to venture to guess. Okay. JJ said Chris Cuomo has been a disappointment to me. I mean, he's not a disappointment to me because I haven't had any expectations of him. Okay, in the mainstream media in general, I don't have any expectations of them. Whatever they do is never a shock to me. Okay? Never a shock to me. But why would you be telling someone to come and get on a sinking boat? Who does that? Make it make sense.
Enhanced audio and different things that people have heard. It's worth noting that there's been more than one source of quote unquote enhanced audio. That audio appears in different lengths. That different forensic experts have said that there are quote unquote artifacts that were added to the enhanced audio, that music was removed from the enhanced audio. And so all of those things should create a degree of skepticism. The other thing that I would say is that if you listen to even the enhanced audio, and News Nation had a guy on recently, Robert Freed, who talked about this, who is an audio expert. If you listen to it without the transcript that some people have put on top of it, even the enhanced audio is garbled mess. And so what I would say is, you probably are aware of this. There's all sorts of scientific research on this about the way the human brain processes and offers preference to certain types of input. There's a visual input preference over an auditory input preference. There was a famous experiment done around this, Chris, where two groups of people were put into separate rooms with a noise that didn't say anything. And they were told, one group was said that the noise was the word green needle or words green needle, and the other was told that it was the word brainstorm. And they got put back together, and they both swore vehemently that they had heard either green needle or brainstorm because they had that visual cue. So I think there's a reason that reputable outlets have chosen not to run enhanced audio, because if you're a reputable outlet, you try to figure out who put this together. Did they start with the original so that we know it wasn't corrupted from the beginning?
Now he's trying to throw a shot at Nancy Grace, in my opinion, because she absolutely had the enhanced audio on there, and her producer or someone who works on her show did something to it themselves. So he's saying a reputable outlet wouldn't have that on there because you'd have to, don't know where they got it from. Well, first of all, didn't the lady show that in fact she got it from the CETO website? Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what she showed. Okay, he needs to sit down somewhere. But hold on, let me look at some of these questions in the chat. They said, damn it, Bart, I just have questions as to why anyone would call Bart's name if he was not there. And then also, didn't his lawyer say at some point days ago, but also didn't his lawyer say that he was just there, Bart, that Bart was just there to help tow a boat? Didn't he say that? I just have several questions. Stories keep changing as far as I'm concerned. Something new pops up every day. Now, forensics enhanced audio all the time. Queen, when was Bart's name first called out? On the box. When someone said, damn it, Bart. And we were like, who the hell is Bart? And then, what's his name? Warren said his name on Tatum's show. I think we heard the audio before we saw Warren on the Tatum show. I can't remember. If I'm mistaken, you all let me know. Man, that audio is real. Some emergency dispatchers already said it's real. I mean, you think they don't know that? They're trying their damnedest. I mean, they're grasping at straws, in my opinion. Okay, they're grasping at straws. So someone wanted to know, can they sue the grand jury? Can his parents sue the grand jury? No. The grand jury is shielded by something known as quasi-judicial. Okay, I believe that's what it is. Yeah, there is quasi-judicial immunity, so you can't sue them. It protects and shields them from personal lawsuits. Okay, that's what it shields them from. So that's the thing. That's the problem. Because I also told you that the grand jury process is very secretive, done in private. The defense doesn't get to state any claims. They don't get to have their witness come up, you know, or any of those things. They don't present evidence. Everything is one-sided because the prosecutor presents the case. And so that's why prosecutors are always saying you can indict a ham sandwich, because if you want someone to be indicted, you can absolutely get them indicted. If you don't want them to get indicted, you absolutely can prevent it. Okay, please pay attention. It's all nefarious. All nefarious, but like I said, I'm not shocked. Let's continue. Likes up, everyone.
Beginning, is there evidence of corruption that we can detect? Are the links the same? Does that person have bias? These are the questions you'd want to know before you put something in front of people with a written transcript that tells them what they should be hearing and then allow it to mislead people. We put zero stock in enhanced audio, quote unquote, enhanced audio.
Yeah, of course you put zero stock in it when it doesn't help and fit your narrative. If the audio was saying something that benefited him, do you think that he would be going against it? It doesn't even matter if the audio was enhanced or not. We definitely heard for a fact them say, "Damn it, Bart." No, wake the F up. Y'all heard that here first too. The enhanced audio. Okay, please pay attention. Now, right? We heard them saying these things. We heard it loud and clear. We didn't need a transcript. For some of it, maybe, but for some of that stuff, we didn't need a transcript. We literally heard them say, "Damn it, Bart." We literally heard them say, no, wake the F up. Okay? And then it sounded like someone said, Nolan's about to die. Yeah, we heard that. We heard someone say, "Check his chest." We heard all of these things. So now they're going to tell us we didn't hear what we heard? Like, make it all make sense. Make it all make sense. It's a whole load of BS.
And I think that there's a reason that reputable outlets, and candidly, a lot of reputable audio experts, are saying that people shouldn't either.
Never do these 3 things after a car accident if you want to potentially receive any money.
Are here to stay. Gas, groceries, insurance. It's going to take time. And if you're a homeowner, you probably thought,
Nolan Wells' death. And look, the family has also been very clear that they understand the tremendous grief that Nolan Wells' parents are experiencing, that the Ocean Springs community is experiencing, candidly, that his friends are experiencing. And they understand the demand for answers. They understand why this process has to be done thoroughly, why investigators have to turn over every rock. And to that end, I would just tell you that certainly in the case of my client, and certainly in the case of some of these other young men, based on conversations that I've had, they cooperated fully with authorities from the very beginning of this process. I think the only thing that my client and others have asked for is not to arrive at a verdict in a way that is pre-drawn, but instead to wait on facts and evidence before you convict someone in a court of public opinion, because the consequence of that is that you're ruining people's reputations. The consequence of that is that you're subjecting people to actual physical threats and violence. And that's not the way that our system should work.
Has it slowed down? How is your client handling it?
I would tell you that, he's a 21-year-old, kid's the wrong word, because I know that's a grown man, but you can remember being 21.
He is a physically grown man. He is not an emotionally or cognitively grown man. I've got one at home. In fact, I've got 2 at home, one male, one female in that age range. I see them as children within the eyes of the law, obviously adults.
Right. And I'm not suggesting that's not true, but I am suggesting that you and I both remember what it was like to be 21. And this is devastating. Now, I will say to his credit, I think this would be devastating to somebody that's 45 or 60. To have these kind of accusations being bandied about without evidence. To his credit, he is an incredibly mature, candidly wise young man.
Well, this kind of situation makes you grow up fast. But just for the benefit of the audience, as a simple colloquy, You just stated there were multiple witnesses to attest to this one way or the other. Your client was not on a boat with Nolan Wells. He knew Nolan Wells. He was not with him. When your client got on the boat to help, Nolan Wells was not there. True?
That's correct.
Your client was not present when anything happened to Nolan Wells. Is that true?
Yes.
Your client was never part of a conversation where other people were panicked about what had happened to Nolan Wells.
That's correct.
And no one saw your client with Nolan Wells while the boat was leaving.
Yeah, I mean, certainly not to my knowledge. I can tell you that he wasn't with him. Well, you know.
So then it doesn't really matter what the sweetened audio says unless there was another guy with the same name as your client who was on that boat at a different time. Other than that, because the CETO call is happening while he's there. So unless it's patched together from different moments, your suggestion is it cannot be accurate.
Yeah, I will just say again that my client had nothing to do with the death of Nolan Wells, has no knowledge of the circumstances of Nolan's death, and it was no way involved in covering up or concealing any information that would be relevant to investigators figuring out what happened to Nolan.
Have the investigators come back to your client?
He's talked to the investigators. I'm not sure what you mean by come back to him.
Like, have they had follow-up questions for him on more than one occasion after they asked for his initial statement and cooperation?
Yeah, I think he talked to different sets of investigators. And I want to be very careful that I don't insert my own speculation.
Mm-hmm.
But my appreciation is that he's talked to different sets of investigators. You know, as an example, the DMR form that shows that he was identified as one of the two boat owners, which has been misinterpreted by some people. He let DMR officers onto the boat to take the GPS and all of that. Those would be investigators that would be separate from the Jackson County Sheriff's Office.
Mm. Does your client remember the last time he saw Nolan Wells at the event? Obviously, he knew he was part of the group, even though he wasn't with him specifically because it was multiple people, multiple boats. Does he remember the last time he saw him there?
Yeah, what I would say on that is he has told me that he did see Nolan that day, but that they really didn't interact that day. One of the things to appreciate here is that my client is 21 years old. He did play football with Nolan Wells in high school, but he was 3 years older than Nolan. And so certainly my client would consider Nolan a friend, but it wasn't the same sort of level of relationship. They didn't go out there together that day.
Understood. There's also a suggestion that your client knew the woman being called Katie, who may have been with Nolan Wells, may have been his reason that he didn't.
Let's stop right there because someone isn't being honest. Now, he said that they didn't go out there together that day. Isn't that what the attorney just said, that they didn't go out there together that day? So Bart didn't go out there with them. But Warren said on Tap Dance and Tatum's show that he called Warren that morning and asked him to bring his boat out. Because, in fact, there was people coming from their college, 30 people at least, and some of them were girls. Didn't he say that? I'm pretty sure I heard him say that. So what is he talking about? He wasn't there. Let's continue. I'm going to look for that video in just a second.
Want to go home with the buddies who brought him.
Yeah, and so there have been a number of like just purely made up things, and this is one of the more egregious purely made up things. What happened in this instance, Chris, is that somebody literally went and pulled a picture of my client with a young lady that was several years old, and then misidentified the young lady as someone named Katie, who according to other witnesses, Nolan was speaking to that day. Mm-hmm. The problem.
Well, that definitely was not Katie. As I told you all, and we all know who broke that story, okay, with false information, misinformation, whatever you want to call it. Because that definitely wasn't Katie, and I told y'all that.
With this level of speculation, which has gone on to oh, essentially that my client had a relationship with this person named Katie, and it created jealousy that Nolan was speaking to her, and that is evidence of motive. The problem with that line of reasoning is that the person in the photograph, upon which the entire theory is based, is not in fact someone named Katie. And let me say this, because some news organizations have covered this point as if it's a he said, she said debate. Journalists are capable of actually figuring out who is in the photograph. There are people that they went to high school with who can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady's mother can tell you who's in the photograph. The young lady can tell you who's in the photograph. We've chosen not to use her name because we don't want her to face the same ridiculous level of scrutiny and craziness that's going on the internet. But this is not a he said, she said. Like, this is a verifiable fact that the person in the photograph that's been used to create this crazy theory is not someone named Katie.
Right.
And it's also a fact that Bart had never met this person named Katie, had no relationship with this person named Katie. It's just literally people pulling things out of thin air.
That's the nature of clickbait. Sometimes it's well-intentioned. Sometimes it's curiosity. Sometimes it's cynicism. Most of the time, it's about clickbait for profit. And that's what works. That's what gets you the views. And you do not have the same kind of liability that I do at News Nation, or I do as a known entity, as a lot of these other people. There's not a lot of pockets to tap. There aren't corporations attached. And to that end, what we're seeing with you, Mr. Latino, is kind of the new normal, which is I'm going to hire an attorney if I'm Bart or his parents, and I'm going to go after the people who are going after me, put them on notice to cease and desist their disparaging and defamatory comments. And if they don't, I will sue them for the same. That has been your approach. Has it changed the disposition? I know one account responded by saying basically, bring it on, as if they were welcoming of that. What is your assessment of the situation and in response to that?
Yeah, I would say that ultimately issues like this aren't going to get decided on Facebook, but in a court. I would say that same individual did actually take down all of the posts related to my client.
And I can confirm.
While simultaneously inviting us to bring it on. I would also, not that it's my job to give counsel to people who may be on the other side of us, but, those posts are going to be evidence. The post in which people talk about getting rich off of the fact that they're making defamatory comments end up as evidence. And I would suggest that it's evidence that federal judges probably won't look too kindly upon.
Now, did he say federal judges? Why did he say federal judges? Why did he say federal judges, you guys? I have several questions. Why would he say federal judges? Y'all hear that? Y'all heard that, right? Why did he bring up federal judges? I have several questions. Didn't I tell you all that what we don't want them to do is make this thing federal, because then Trump will be able to pardon them? He'll do whatever he wants anyway, but I'm just saying. Okay? I find that all very interesting. So this man is sitting here acting like people are just making up stuff, but the bottom line is he said that his client wasn't there. But they said his client was there to help tow the boat. So which is it? Which is it? The math's not mathing. Okay? Yeah, Jaden, fear tactics. And then he's sitting there going in on Kimberly, saying that she deleted her post while at the same time telling them to bring it on. Queen Precious said, so they got it planned out. Well, that's what it sounds like, beloved. I mean, if I had to venture to guess, that's what it sounds like. Nirvana said, look at the lawyer. He looks stressed. He absolutely does. Listen, I promise you, there's no way in hell they want a period of discovery. I just don't think so. Now, they could, but I have questions. Okay, I absolutely have questions. This is all shady. Okay, in my opinion. Robert says, Katie, in my opinion, is the #1 suspect because of what she said on the audio. What did she say on the audio? And how do we know that was Katie on the audio? The lawyer is stressed because he knows he's lying. Jesse Johnson said, this is so sick. I have to agree. Okay, I have to agree, beloved. Q Film Media said he is about to ruin his career. I think he already has. I think he already has. Warrior said, telling lies is stressful. You all are something else. Hold on. So Yoli says, how did Warren call Nolan's mom and ask her if she heard from Nolan, knowing they had his phone? Make it make sense. Exactly. Exactly. That's what Dr. Umar said, right? That's what Dr. Umar said. Make it make sense. Okay, how's his mom going to talk to him? Don't they think, because here's the thing that makes sense. Let me just go back to some things that I said in the beginning of this case, and you all can go back and check the footage and the timestamps. There are so many things that I said before anybody said any of it. Now pay attention, okay? Because for one, I said that they're claiming that they called the mom at 11 o'clock or like 5 or 7 after 11, right? I said, okay, but they left at like 4:30. So what the hell took them so long to call the mom? I mean, they were concerned prior to that. They had his phone. Now, I'm going to tell you like this. If I was on the island and my friend told me that they were going to ride back with somebody else, then I get home to where I'm going and I realize that they didn't get their phone from me. I still have their phone. I'm going to be waiting for them to call me for the phone within an hour. Within an hour, because we're all gone. How long are they going to stay there? Okay, and I told you all early on, that doesn't even make any sense. You call the mom acting like you're so concerned, but you call the mom at 11 o'clock at night. That's hours later. Why would you wait all day? Okay, why would you wait all day to call the mother? And then you said you called the Coast Guard. And because you were concerned, you called the Coast Guard that night. But then when they asked him, it was something that they specifically asked him on that Tap Dance and Tatum show, where it just didn't make any sense. He said he called the Coast Guard. No, on Tap Dance and Tatum show, he said that when Tashima came to get the phone and just burst through the door, he went outside talking to the friend, talking to some guy that he knew from high school, and the guy said, oh, he's probably just on somebody's couch and all of that. And then he agreed. Warren agreed with him, said, yeah, he's probably asleep. Okay, but if you thought he was probably asleep and it's nothing to see here, folks, why did you call the Coast Guard and why did you call his mom? Okay, make that make sense. But also let us not forget something else very important that I pointed out to you all. And you heard this here first too. Remember when he said in the interview with Tap Dance and Tatum that there was a friend of theirs who called them frantic. Okay, I think that's the word he used. He said a friend of theirs called him frantic, asking what happened because he'd seen it all over the internet about Nolan. And they were trying to call him down. And then Warren says, well, he was upset, he was irate or frantic, one of the two, something along those lines. And he said, and rightfully so. And then he said they were trying to calm him down. And then he just hung. Now, what does that sound like? That sounds like this person was irate or frantic and called them because he's seen it all over the internet. And he's wondering what happened, and came to them for answers that they clearly didn't give. So he got frustrated and hung up. Now, I'm not saying that's what happened, but that's what it sounds like happened. Okay? That's what that sounds like, because why would the friend just hang up on them? I would think that they will all be getting together trying to figure out a game plan to figure out what happened. Okay. Also, let's not forget that there was no curiosity coming from them in the beginning. Now, all of a sudden, when we come out saying it was Elliot Connie who said that first, okay, I played you on his video. He's the first one that said that there was no curiosity element. That if you really didn't know something, you would likely be asking questions, trying to figure out what happened. And they weren't until now. Now they want to go back to Horn Island a whole month later. Sorry, it's not looking good for them. Okay, they can say whatever they want to say. The toxicology report that they claim the metrics were leaked can say whatever they wanted to say. At the end of the day, I would like for them to prove that it didn't show that he had a high alcohol content, a high blood alcohol content because of decomposition. That's what I would like for them to show. That's what I would like for them to prove. I would like to see receipts of that it was not due to the decomposition process. Okay. And then when they come back later, please wait for it. When they come back later and say that there was illegal substances in his system, I want them to show proof of that. But will they? These flock cameras that can see so much and see into your vehicles even saw a woman with a phone on her lap and gave her a $1,200 fine. If they can see all of that, you mean to tell me none of this was captured on one of those cameras? And if so, where is the footage? Do they have it? Are they going to present it to the grand jury? I have so many questions. Okay, I have so many questions. At the end of the day, this is just all giving cover up for me. I don't care what anybody says. At the end of the day, it's leaving me with more questions than answers. Some of the things, in my opinion, just don't make sense. And I'm not accusing anybody of anything because maybe it was just an accident. Okay, maybe he did just drown. But the bottom line is there's a whole lot of things with this story in this case that just are not adding up. And it's leading me to have questions. Okay? Queen C. Precious said, Queen, get out of my head. Okay? This is all crazy. It's not making any sense. It seems like they're trying to make it make sense, but they're falling short. Okay, let's continue.
Yeah. The impact on Bart, his life, how serious have the threats been? I know that there was a...
Hold on, I'm going to read this comment. Exo Ponte says, actions speak louder than words. And remember, Warren left Nolan and somehow Nolan still made it to the boat. Red flag. Also, he invited Bart last minute only because he needed his boat. Red flag. He didn't like neither one. Yeah, he did invite Bart at the last minute. I told you all weeks ago that I felt like, that he invited Bart because those girls were coming from college. And I felt like at the time, and I still feel like he didn't really want to be on the boat with Nolan with those girls. I feel like there was a little bit of jealousy going on with Warren. That's just my opinion. Okay. Now, because why would you want, and let's not forget all the things they did that day. Hold on. Let me go to that video. Hold on. Because remember, I told you guys that he got up that morning and said he did all these things, but Nolan didn't seem to be included in any of those things. I mean, it almost seemed like they were saying Nolan was a third wheel. Hold on, is this it? Hold on, you guys. Let me mute my mic for a second to see if this... Okay, I'm glad that I do these TikTok videos because when we need to reference something that I've previously said, I don't want to have to go through my whole entire video to try and find the timestamp. Okay, so it's good that I do these TikTok videos because that just gets you right to the point. Okay, here it is right here. Now I'm going to share my screen. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Hold on. Let me just take this down for a second. I need to close out some of these tabs. Okay, here we go. Now, I actually did this video on the 1st of August. I did this video August the 1st. So let's get into it. Clicked on the wrong thing. Hold on. August the 1st. Here we go. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share.
Shakur. And I was listening to the interview that Tap Dancing Tatum did with Warren Hudson again last night. And I noticed something very interesting. Let's get into it. So he mentioned how he and Nolan spent the night at his buddy's house. That would be Wyatt. And then he said they got up the next morning and went to McDonald's. And then he specified that Nolan wasn't with him. So I'm thinking you and Wyatt went to breakfast and you left Nolan there. Why wasn't he going? Then he later said that he and Wyatt went to get ice for the boat. And he didn't mention anything about Nolan. Okay, please pay attention. Then in another part of the interview, he says that Nolan had gone with them before to Horn Island. But right before that, he said, you know, Nolan loved getting on the boat. He loved getting on the water. He would always try to get on the boat with us. He would always be trying to get on the boat with us. And then he says, and of course, he was always welcome. Now that led me to thinking Nolan was always trying to get on the boats, but he was always welcome. It seems like he said that as an afterthought to try to clean it up because he realized how it sounded. So the thing is, did they want Nolan to go? Or specifically, did he really want Nolan to go? Because he said trying, okay? Please pay attention. But then also he said that morning when they were getting everything ready to go.
I'm sorry, you guys. I was listening to another audio at the same time. I'm just trying to gather these receipts. Okay, so I find it all interesting. I'm not believing a word of this. I'm just not believing a word of this. And I would love to know how in the world the toxicology metrics got leaked to Chris Cuomo. Who are these sources of which he continues to speak that is telling him these things? Okay, I'm going to skip forward to the end of this video so we can get done with this because I don't want to listen to their entire conversation.
We promise a
maybe not the ones that you would assume. Nobody in Mississippi denies the history of this state. People are very cognizant. In fact, we're reminded constantly of the history of this state.
They can't deny it because the things that happened there in the past still continue to happen there in the present. Don't act like there's not still lynchings going on, that there are not still people that look like me being hung in the trees as strange fruit just a week or so ago, sir. So they can't deny it if they wanted to. If they thought they could, they would try it. But they know they can't because someone was just found hanging from a tree in Jackson. Okay, and word on the curb is that they're trying to blame it on a black man. We're going to talk about that later, but let's continue.
And it's dark, and we understand the tentacles of that darkness persist today, that there's skepticism today because of that. What I would tell you is that the community that you're talking about in Ocean Springs is a community where you've got people like Nolan and like his friends and like Javon and Trayston who are just friends. And that see each other that way. And so I think to the extent there's been frustration, it's been a lack of recognition that these young guys were actually good buddies. And some of the assumptions that are based in things that happened in the 1950s or 1960s are in fact no longer representative of Mississippi, right? I think that there is a universe in which you can recognize the past, and because of the past, understand why there's skepticism or lack of trust. But the past is not evidence. The past might generate that skepticism, but by itself is not evidence. And I think you've got to factor in the truth that Mississippi is a state with about 37% of our population that is African American, that there are millions of positive interactions, you know, on a weekly basis between white citizens in Mississippi and black citizens in Mississippi in a way that candidly probably don't exist in states that are more monolithic, that don't have that diversity of population. And so I don't think anybody here is trying to run away from the past. I think what people here would say is you've got to recognize and give some context to the fact that things have changed, that there has been progress. And you also have to recognize that none of these communities are homogenous, right? And I'd say this in a broad way, like, you know, 360,000 Union soldiers died in the Civil War, right? Schwerner and Goodman were two white kids who died beside Cheney trying to get voting rights in Mississippi, you know, during that period of the civil rights era. You've got hundreds of examples of white Southerners that fought for civil rights. And I shouldn't say hundreds, of thousands, right? That fought for civil rights. And so anytime, like, one, I think it's problematic to suggest that because things happened in the 50s and 60s, that it's emblematic of what's happening today. That's problematic by itself. But it's also problematic to ignore that even in those dark periods, you had an awful lot of white citizens that fought alongside black citizens for civil rights, that recognized the inequity or inequality that was occurring in the culture.
Not everything is one way, and it can definitely fuel the suspicion of the moment. Even if there were rampant racism going on right now in Mississippi, doesn't mean that that's what this case is about. And the burden of due process and the belief in due process doesn't change and shouldn't change. I get that there were suspicions about that based on the initial statements about what happened here from the authorities. But that's just one statement, as you suggest, taken a little out of context. I think it could have been worded differently, but that's neither here nor there. The family, as long as they're kept in the loop and treated right by investigators, and they're meeting the standard of giving it to a grand jury, which I get. Some people have a problem with that. I don't know why. If what you want is due process, then they give it to it, even though some will say, well, it's pro forma. They go to the grand jury with everything. Okay, well, they're doing it here. So we'll see what happens with that step. And that is really all that matters, is what happens when that grand jury makes its final assessment.
I think that the idea of submitting this to the grand jury, I think Angel has, the DA here has a protocol where she submits every death that is not a natural cause death, a car wreck, a heart attack, you know, to a grand jury, in part because she wants to be sure that this is a process of integrity. And so I do think a lot of people are probably reading into that. I wouldn't read much into that either direction.
Yeah, look, ordinarily, I started off as one of them. Why? Because a prosecutor is supposed to have a good faith basis for thinking there may be probable cause in going to a grand jury. If you were to have a dispositive finding that this was a drowning or an accident or whatever, then you don't have a good faith belief that there's probable cause. Then I learned that this DA goes with pretty much everything that doesn't scream heart attack or old age home. And I get it, that you're right. It doesn't mean anything one way or the other, but it does mean that the normal process is not being subverted.
Yeah, no, I think she's following the same protocol and treating this case the same way she treats every case.
And, you know, we'll see. They're not quick processes, but it shouldn't take forever. And I think the sooner that there are answers, the better in this. And as I said to you before, and I will say it again, you are welcome to this platform for any significant advances in your understanding in your case. And I appreciate you taking this opportunity.
Yeah, for having me on. And candidly, thanks just for your fairness in this process. I mean, you know, I think that there are outlets that get clicks and watches by being sensational, by reframing things. And my sense is that you're actually pursuing the truth. And I think that's all anybody could ask, whether we're talking about the Wells-Wansley family or whether we're talking about the community or some of the kids that have been, in my view, maligned unfairly without evidence. Like, the truth matters here, and we really appreciate you pursuing it.
Well, look, as the shirt says, I'm different. My business model is this. I'm okay being less successful if there's an integrity to what I'm doing. And I think the space needs it. I really believe true crime may be the last best opportunity for us to debate.
And don't wait until your pet gets to that point. Don't wait.
Okay. I'm going to stop it right there. I think we've seen enough. There was probably like a minute left. So with that all being said, You know, like I said, I'm not surprised. And like Truth Brown said, they were talking about everything except what happened to Nolan. Okay. What was the time of death since so much was leaked? That's what I would like to know. Okay, I would love to know that. What was his time of death? Tell us that. All right. Timothy says, they're attempting to cast doubt on the truths that are evident. That's what it seems like, beloved. That's absolutely what it seems like. Okay, so listen, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Now, what I'm going to do is, because the video is over 2 hours, it's like 2 hours and almost 10 minutes. So I'm going to chop the video up and, you know, put the parts, the most pivotal parts or whatever, post those separately. So people on the replay don't have to watch the entire video if they don't want to or whatever. Okay, so with that being said, likes up, everyone, please like and share. I will be back later, okay? I will be back later. And later, if I have more information on Nolan, we'll definitely talk about that. But also, we're going to talk about people that look like me being hunted. Okay, please pay attention. I've been gathering the receipts. That's right. Truth Brown said the time of death is key. Exactly. It definitely will be. Okay, that's paramount to this whole thing. So until next time, beloveds, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, I will talk to you all again soon. Peace.
Oh yeah, I'm on your ass. I just got to know. What up with that audio? We not gonna stop. No, no, we won't go. I'm hugging your parents in spirit. Yeah. Nolan, we on this case and we demand answers. Oh, they expose. The real queen of receipts. Dropping. Oh, and we got your back. Somebody gonna talk. Hell yeah, the ancestors walking. I'm so serious. Queen on the case. Oh, they asking full-blown panic now. They trying to shut us down, close our mouth. But I just won't. Damn that. Well, we not gonna stop. No. I'm hugging your parents in spirit. Yeah. Nolan, we on this case and we demand answers. Oh, they expose. What happened to you? We tied. You don't get the all my kids ain't cover it up. I said, show yourself. Yeah, steady talking about they was his friends. I said, show up and talk if that's the case. Hold on, Nolan, it's coming to the light. Yeah, the queen on the case. Hold on, Nolan, we won't give up. Rest in his peace. We all love you. No. Nolan. Well, we not gonna stop. No. We won't go. I'm hugging your parents in spirit. On this case. Oh, they exposed the real queen of receipts. Dropping. We got your back. Somebody gon' talk. Hell yeah, ancestors walking. Rest in his peace.